Memphis is the home of the blues, rock and roll, and Earle Farrell.
From the Collierville Square to the mighty Mississippi, the Earle Farrell for Memphis show is all about good things that happen across the Bluff City and the people who make Memphis cool.
The Earle Farrell for Memphis show is made possible by our title sponsor, Southern Security Federal Credit Union, and by Kathy Thurman Edwards, State Farm Insurance.
By Dive Shop and Dive Ventures nationwide. Jim Karras Chevrolet with George Gully. Napa Cafe Memphis and Glenda Hastings. Phoenix Unequaled Home Entertainment. For Memphis Magazine. The Live at the Garden Concert Series. And the Orpheum Theater Group Memphis. And by Mitch Wright Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning, family owned and operated for more than 40 years. Thank you to all the sponsors for making this possible.
And now, coming to you from Lansky Brothers, Clothier to the King, inside the world-famous Peabody Hotel with the heart of a cowboy and Memphis in his soul. Ladies and gentlemen, here's your host, Earle Farrell.
And thank you very much, and welcome to Lansky's Clothier to the King. Today it's our studio for the show. And joining me here in our studio at Lansky's is Leighanne Soden. She's with the West Cancer Foundation. You're the president, right, CEO?
Yes.
You're the lead person on everything over there.
Yes.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you, Earl. Thank you.
Last time I saw you was at Graceland at the guest house for the Vigil night, which
Yes.
had a wonderful time there. It was the first time Kathy had ever been to the Vigil.
You need to go. Everybody needs to go one time.
I think you're right. And I think all of our friends that came down that hadn't been before were really very impressed. It's so weird about Memphis. They always kind of go, well, that's a Elvis thing. No, it's a Memphis thing is what that is. So you need to go. You also need to attend an event that West is putting on this weekend. It is it's a run, it's a walk, and it's a bike, or in my case, it would be a stumble along. But it is, 17th year for this?
13th.
13th.
Yes.
But it's benefiting the Cancer Foundation, the West Cancer Foundation. And before we get into the race itself, what are some of the things the foundation does and where the money goes once you collect it every year off of this and many other fundraisers?
Sure. The money goes to fund the free programs that we provide for patients in this community. One of the most important is transportation. Last time we were here, we talked a little bit about transportation and how that's the number one barrier to care. Well, our tagline is breaking barriers, like you see here on the cycling jersey. We're trying to break all barriers to cancer care for those who are less fortunate than us, those who are uninsured, underinsured. We'll even pay a copay if a patient needs that. So transportation is a huge program. Last year, over 7,000 free rides for patients.
Yeah, because if you can't get there, you can't get the
Exactly.
treatment. So, and this, who came up with the idea first for the run, walk, cycle?
Actually, two wonderful doctors, Dr. Brad Summer and Dr. Todd Tillmans. When we first started this, they came to me and said, let's do this little bike ride. And I said, okay. And we did it, and it took off. And now we'll have 2,000 people out at Shelby Farms Saturday morning.
Well, the weather should be great, and Shelby Farms is a great location. Does it all take place in Shelby Farms, or do you leave the park and then come back?
You leave the park. We have different routes for the 60, 40, and 20-mile cyclist. And then we have a route for the 5K, and then another route for the 1-mile tribute walk.
And so the 60-mile, or is it 60 miles? Mm-hmm. And then for over 60? No.
No.
Because there's nobody over 60 doing it. I bet there is.
There is.
It's not going to be me, but there'll be some people there. But the thing that amazes me so much, I've been here almost 50 years, and back when they first started having fundraisers with, it was a 2-mile, a mile and a half, and then they started going to 6, and then, the St. Jude is a marathon. And you look at the number of people participating in fundraisers like this, just because the country's gotten in so much better shape.
Yes, and we encourage participation. Even if you're not a cancer patient or coming there to celebrate survivors, just come out and do one of the events. It's a great fitness. We'll be through by at least 11 o'clock, and we'll have great food, entertainment, beer, mimosas.
And do they meet up by the pavilion,
Yes.
by the lake?
Mm-hmm.
That's where
That's
it
where we
starts
start.
from. Okay. And usually what they have is before you start, everybody's out there guzzling water and sports drinks and that kind of thing. Do you also have most people eat? I never used to eat anything before I ran.
Not before.
Yeah.
We start putting the food out about 9. But let me tell you, Earl, about the first opening ceremony.
Okay.
It's very, very special. The mayor is coming. Mayor Young is going to be there with us, and we're going to have a moment of silence before the cyclists go out, and that is to remember all of those who are no longer with us, who lost their battle to cancer. And once that moment of silence is over, the bagpiper is going to play and just sort of walk away into the distance, and that's a very somber moment, but very much appreciated.
Well, and so many people, and just about everybody I know, has been touched by cancer.
Yes.
And Fight On is the West Fight On is the theme. And it really is, because the fight does continue. People lose their battle, but so much has been learned over the year from back when we really knew very little about it, except there's nothing we can do for you.
Right.
And then now there's so much that people that used to resign themselves to the fact that this is going to be, death. And now it's, they say that's the last thing you need to be thinking about now.
Much more hope now.
Yeah. The First Horizon Foundation is your main sponsor, but you've got a number of other companies that are involved in this. But it really is just the everyday person that comes out and pays their money to run or walk or crawl, and because that's what it's really all about, is everyday people that are in this fight.
Yes, and one thing I'm committed to, Earl, is I'm going to bring this cancer community together. All of us who work and fight for our cancer patients, we need to all be doing it together. We'll have several of our community partners out there Saturday morning, and we want to show the community we're just one big group of people who are fighting cancer and helping those and giving hope.
What are the people that do come and are part of the Fight On theme that have lost people? Do you find that they still feel like they're accomplishing something by continuing that fight?
Yes, they do. They do it, and so many people do it in honor of a loved one. I lost my daddy to cancer, so that moment in the morning when we remember those who are gone always gets me. But it's a great way for people to come out and celebrate survivors. Survivor to us is the most beautiful word in the English language.
Yeah.
And when you're a survivor, we want to celebrate you. And also, we've really begun putting a big emphasis on the caregivers to the survivors and the cancer patients.
Absolutely.
Because the cancer patient is getting a lot of attention on the medical side, and the caregiver is trying to do everything to help the patient, but nobody ever really says, well, okay, caregiver, how are you doing? Which is why we started our mental health counseling program.
Which is very important, because the people that live with the stress of dealing with all this, it's not them, but it's the person they love the most that's going through it.
Right.
And I think that's probably the most helpless feeling, is that, the patient's doing what they can because they're taking the treatments and living with the treatments, but it's the family members that have to take up all the slack from the stuff that the other person contributed to their day-to-day life.
Yes.
Because it all kind of comes to a stop.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a great thing to do, to be involved with, and I think everybody feels better about being a part of the solution as opposed to just saying, oh, I'm praying for you.
Right.
This is you're actually doing something for them.
Yes.
At what time do they need to be there?
Well, the cyclists start at about 7 a.m. They start lining up at 6:30, and those cyclists are serious and they're ready to go. So those three groups, the 60, 40, and 20 miles, go out first, and then about 45 minutes later, our 5K runners go out, and then the 1 mile walkers. And in the middle of all of that, we are having a kids' bike parade.
I just saw that, the bike parade. I'm going to hold up the poster, too. We've got on Beth camera over there. There you go. Cover me up. That's the best I've looked all day.
We have something for everyone, no matter your age, no matter what. If you want to come and celebrate survivors, but you just you don't run, walk, or cycle, you can just come to Celebration Village. That's an option when you go to register. And
the bike parade, will it take right there at the pavilion?
Yes.
Will start and finish right there, so they won't have to go off very far.
Yes.
If I was doing the 60-mile ride, I'd start now, because that would take a while. Well, it's a great event, and do they need to do anything pre-race, or can do everything the morning of?
No, you need to register as quickly as you can,
Okay.
westfighton.org.
All right. Well, good luck. I may come out and eat donuts with you.
That'd be great.
be my contribution. Leighanne Soden, thanks for coming by.
Thank you, Earle, so much.
And have a great event on Saturday.
Thank you.
And thank you all that you do.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to check in with river expeditions. A lot of people think they know the Mississippi River. They think they've been out on the Mississippi River. But there's a guy getting ready to join us that does this with people every day in canoes, believe it or not. And we'll talk to him coming up next.
Hi, I'm Dawn Grader, President and CEO of Southern Security Federal Credit Union. We're the proud title sponsor of the Earle Farrell for Memphis show. Coming to you live from Lansky's in the world-famous Peabody Hotel and celebrating all of the great things about our great city, Memphis, Tennessee.
Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I'm so proud to be part of the Earle Farrell for Memphis show, streaming live from Lansky's from the Peabody. We will be showcasing not only Napa Cafe, but some great restaurants around town. We look forward to seeing you.
Hello, Memphis Mid-South. And first, I'd like to thank you for visiting with Earle Farrell Memphis today, and we want to support him just like you do. I'm George Gully, one of the sales managers at Jim Carrey Chevrolet. We've been in business here in Memphis for over 75 years. I've been associated with the company for almost 25, and I'll help you find the right car, truck, or SUV here at not only our Chevy store, but also Buick, GMC, Nissan, Subaru. We can help you find that right car. Keep watching Earle and come see me. Thanks so much.
Hi, I'm Kathy Thurman Edwards, State Farm, and I'm so excited to be one of the sponsors for the Earle Farrell from Memphis show, broadcasting live from Lansky's at the Peabody. And I'll tell you all about what we've got going on at our office. Gift cards for quotes. No purchase necessary. I'm better looking than a lizard.
Hi, this is Randy Wright from the Dive Shop and Dive Ventures in Memphis. We've been in Memphis over 64 years teaching people to dive, snorkel, and swim. We'd love to have you come join us and have some fun. We're also a part of the Dive Ventures group with 18 locations across the country, stretched from Phoenix to Vienna, Virginia. Please give us a call. We'll be able to take care of you at 999 South Yates in Memphis, or call us at 901-763-DIVE.
Hi, I'm Brett Batterson, President and CEO of the Orpheum Theater Group in downtown Memphis. We are so pleased with our partnership with the Earle Farrell Show and very happy that he is broadcasting live from Lansky's at the historic Peabody Hotel. We're all here to make Memphis better.
Hi, my name is Jameson Todd, and I'm the director of Live at the Garden and the Radiance Amphitheater. And we're so excited for our 25th year of Live at the Garden here at the Memphis Botanic Garden. We've got a great lineup for you this season, so come on out.
Hi, I'm Olivia Wald, Director of Marketing and Communications for Memphis Botanic Garden and Live at the Garden. We've had Earle Farrell right along the way for the past 25 years, and we can't wait to talk more about the season this summer on the Earle Farrell for Memphis show.
So come out to Live at the Garden. Our first show's on June 21st.
Hi, I'm Mitch Wright. And I'm his son, Mickey. And we're the owners of Mitch Wright Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
And proud sponsors of the Earle Farrell for Memphis show.
We're thankful to be part of the Memphis community. We've been in business for 42 years, taking care of people and loving the people of the Mid-South.
Hey, my name is Jake. I'm with Phoenix Unequaled Home Entertainment. I just wanted to introduce myself and kind of what I do here at Phoenix. I'm a sales engineer. A lot of the times we talk about home theaters, but there's so much more that we offer. We offer a lot of home security solutions, as well as water detection and everything. So if you guys ever need anything, give us a call. We'll get you guys fixed up.
And welcome back. Joining me now is Matthew is it Burdine?
Burdine.
Burdine.
Yes, sir.
Because it looked like D-I-N-E, and I was saying...
D-I-D, D-U-R-D-I-N-E.
So once you get it nailed down, you never forget it. Matthew Burdine.
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 Yes, sir.
See, I told you. Once I got it, I got it.
Bird's Dining.
Bird's Dining.
Yes,
okay.
sir.
Burdine. He is the owner and the head guide of Mississippi River Expeditions. And you all think that we know the river, but until you get down on the river and you travel the river, you really don't know it. And when I first moved here, I didn't know anything about the river. I grew up in West Texas. And the only thing I knew about canoeing was when I was in Scouts, we went to Charles L. Sumner Canoe Base in Eli, Minnesota, and canoed for 2 weeks up into Canada. Then it was portaging, and so I mean, you had to get out. And I was a big guy, so I had to carry a canoe and a pack.
You're up near the headwaters of the Mississippi.
Above them, actually.
Yeah, right above them.
And So it was probably one of the best experiences I ever had. And we learned a lot. And I've been around kayaks and canoes ever since. But until you get out there and there ain't nobody else around and you're in a canoe, you really don't know what feeling out there on your own it is. But fortunately, they got you and your other guides.
That's right. And it's a good feeling being out there, too.
It is. What inspired you? Had you been a water enthusiast your whole life?
I've been around water my whole life, totally. 2010, finished my master's in business, chose not to pursue an opportunity in the finance world, and basically did a big old U-turn and went out to Colorado and became a whitewater river guide.
Wow.
Taught skiing in the winter at Vail, kind of lived that seasonal adventure life.
Yeah.
And would come back home down to the Mississippi Delta where I'm from, where our family farm is in Greenville, Mississippi. And then would start playing on the Mississippi River there. But mainly it started canoeing in the cypress trees around lakes in the Delta, the big oxbow lakes.
Well, and a lot of people would think it'd be much more fun to be living and doing the waters of Colorado and skiing than coming back down here. But the thing, even growing up in West Texas, even though it was a desert, it was beautiful. Mm-hmm. And the Mississippi River is really beautiful.
That it is.
And no matter, as you move up and down it, it constantly changes. In fact, let's go ahead and show some videos so people kind of get an idea of what we're talking about. This is you and a lot of different groups on the Mississippi River.
Oh, yeah.
And I like it that you have sails on these
Yes,
canoes.
sir. They're all custom made up in British Columbia. So they're ocean-going canoes made in Vancouver, and this sits on the harbor, Wolf River Harbor. That's out on the river right there. But, we do these big multi-day trips and day trips and half-day trips. That right there is a good example. See, on the sand on the video, for those who aren't watching, it's more of a sandy river than a muddy river. So there's a lot of interpretations of it. It's more of a sandy, blue, muddy Caribbean. It's not a muddy river. There are muddy parts, but it's different than what everybody expects when they get out there.
And also, I was reading about the fact that people think the Mississippi River is polluted, but it's not. Once you get down to Baton Rouge, there's a lot of industry that's putting things in the water all the way down past New Orleans. But above that, it's really pretty clean.
Yep. South of Baton Rouge is a chemical corridor. A lot of industry right there. The Ohio River confluence is, 200, 300 miles upriver, probably more upriver from us. And then to St. Louis above that. But there's been a lot of, after it rains is when you see sometimes storm drains come out from the city. But over the time, the river is cleaner than a lot of people think. Of course, there's some, trash here and there, but it's the river water it reminds me of the Colorado River sometimes.
Really?
In the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, because it's brown.
Yes, sir. But being out in the Grand Canyon, you're in this vertically grand world. Being on the Mississippi River, you're in this horizontally grand world, and you have the same feelings. That kind of knocks you out of your ego, makes you feel small all of a sudden, but that makes you feel big because you're connected to everything around you. And especially out on these islands on the river, you do some time traveling. In these canoes, we're doing what people did for 12,000 years.
Well, and that's what I thought about at first, is what it was like when Hernando de Soto came up to the Mississippi River and went, okay, how are we going to get across this? We may have gotten here in a big ship, but we got no ship with us now.
And their canoes were bigger than ours were, the Chickasaw, Quapaw, and Choctaw. I mean, these were huge 100-foot dugout cypress trees with 30 or 40, 60 warriors on them.
And they were called war canoes, right?
War canoes, proper terminology. So right now they're kind of called big canoes. They're only made up in British Columbia. You see, like dragon boats would be a kind of example, but these are meant for big water cruising and big waves.
Because do they still do the dragon boat races on the Mississippi here in Memphis?
I don't know. I moved here about 4 years ago, and I think they had just kind of slowed down that. But it'd be cool to see that again.
Well, I think that would be great for you to get involved with, because the most important thing is safety on the river.
That's right.
In almost 50 years of news, I've seen everything that can happen on the river happen.
Yep.
And it can happen. It can happen very quickly, even though you think the river's not moving fast. It is moving very fast.
And all those stories are true, and most of them have happened with boats with motors on them, running out of gas in front of barges, engine breaking down, hitting underwater sandbars, rock walls, people not wearing life preservers because they think they're safe on a boat, hypothermic situations, hitting underwater logs, all kinds of stuff. Where Memphis sits is on the 4th Chickasaw Bluff. That Mississippi River is pounding into the bank at Tomley Park. At Mud Island, that river's still pounding into the bank. So that if people do step off into the river there, it will sweep you away. But on the other side of the river, on the slow water side, it's calm, sandy paradise. And that on every bend of a river, there's a slow water side and a fast water side. And so when we go out there in these canoes, we know how to be in the channel with the barges. We know where the calm water is. We know how to operate in that dangerous world. And just to compare really quick again to the Grand Canyon and Colorado River, any big river is dangerous if you don't know how to interact with that river and be out there. And so getting out of these canoes, we're sitting side by side. They hold 12, 14 people each. And we're cruising through and talking with the towboat captains.
Now, when you're going downriver, you're going with the current, or
yes,
you can use your sails.
We'll go all up and down and around.
But when you're coming back upriver, you're going against the current.
We like to stay downriver. If we have to go upriver,
so you go down, beach the canoes, and pick up the canoes with vehicles.
Well, all the trips are kind of based out at the bottom of Mud Island, the Memphis Yacht Club, Mud Island Marina.
Right.
Right there near the old museum.
Let's go to some slides.
And right there at the marina, right there at the top of the boat ramp is where we meet. And so from there we hop in the Suburbans and we head upriver. If it's to our full day trip, which is the most popular, we put in Shelby Forest boat ramp, and that's a 20-mile downriver trip. And then we end the trip right back where we started at the marina. So it's and it's nice and easy that way.
Well, and because at the end of the trip you're tired, even if you're going with the current.
Most people just want to keep on going, man.
Yeah.
The next stop after the Mud Island Harbor is till the next boat ramp.
Well, I know that people think they know what to expect, but when you look at their faces once they get out and get in and they go, okay, this thing's not going to tip over.
It happens immediately as soon as they sit in the canoe, faster than they think.
And then you start seeing the wonderment on their faces and directly here. And then as they start moving away, that's where everybody's imagination starts taking over. I remember when we went to Canada, and they were saying the thing is, do not dig too deep with your paddle because you could lose your balance and fall in. I went, come on, I'm a young guy, I know what I'm doing. The very first day, whoop, I went straight into the water, and because you're top heavy, and but so listen to your guide. I think that is the number one thing.
And enjoy the wonderment. I loved how you used that word, and it happens fast. And you do enter into a different kind of world out there.
And the wildlife that you will see, I think, surprises so many people. They don't think you'd see a bird in the middle of the river flying across. That's how they get across.
Eagles everywhere, great blue herons, egrets, hawks, everything. And especially during the songbird migrations, birds from all around. And, of course, the wild geese and the wild ducks that are cruising up and down, and the great white pelicans, man, it's wild. Every season has something new.
And it's also not just the birds and the animals you think you'll see, because everything comes to the river for a variety of reasons. They're looking for other game coming to the river to get a drink, because that's where they take them. So you could actually see, and in fact, I've heard that alligators are starting to move up the Mississippi. I know they're in the Delta.
Well, maybe they don't like fast-moving water, but maybe down in some of the back channels, down south of where I'm from, in the South Delta, maybe.
But they don't like fast-moving water.
No, sir. There's nothing
good.
Really, there's no predators out there in the waters.
Well, you think about it, except for the catfish.
There's some big catfish.
There are some big cat. In fact, there's a show I watch all the time, Meat Eater, and he's actually went out and did a thing where catching catfish a couple of different ways. Jug baiting, you got a trot line on jugs. Oh, yeah. The other one was tied them to willow limbs hanging over the water into the water. And he said, is these fish okay to eat? He goes, absolutely. But what they do is when they clean them, they take out that whole layer of fat on top of the meat part and cake that off, because that's where the muddy taste stays. And once you get that off, it is pure fillets.
Yeah.
So,
right on.
Now you do overnight trips as well as morning trips, afternoon trips?
Yes, sir. Big multi-day expeditions. For our main run we do is called the Chickasaw Bluff Run. We'll put in up at Osceola and cruise on down to Memphis. That's a 60-mile, 3-day kind of trip. But we do all the cooking over fires. The Grand Canyon style expedition is the way I like to describe it.
Here's another photograph of people paddling along.
And that was a yoga retreat right there we did.
These are all yoga people?
That was that particular picture. We had a full-day yoga retreat.
I like yogurt, but...
Yeah, man. But that was a birthday party. See, all the trips are privately chartered, so custom trips. We have...
You can do anything.
There's wedding parties, there's anniversary trips, birthday trips.
That was dining out.
Yeah, that was a National Geographic trip when Nat Geo came down.
Oh, wow.
For Nat Geo Traveler. That was the morning after a crazy storm that knocked down trees on Mud Island. Man.
Wow. Now, and here they are around the campfire, so that's obviously we spend the night.
The driftwood's from all up and down. You don't know, it's from Illinois or it might be from Ohio, so the smell of these driftwood fires are wild.
Do you sleep in tents? Do you sleep in bags just out on the...
camping gear, just like everybody has tents. And when the mosquitoes are gone, which happens kind of late September, you can just cowboy camp, sleep under the stars.
Well, and you can see the stars out there because once you get away from the lights of the city.
That's right.
And I guess they sit down with you and say that we got a group we want to take out, and this is what our goals are. We want them to experience the river, but we also want to build teammanship.
Exactly. There's a lot of company outings, a lot of corporate team building retreats. In our youth programs that we have, that's in the Wolf River Lagoon. So with the youth programs, we stay in the harbor and paddle out to the river a little bit, up to the bridge and back in. So we had a 100-person student group last Friday. Lausanne College had Christian Brothers trip this summer and some more other schools right now this fall. But with our youth programs, being right there at the bottom of Mud Island, having the river replica right there, which is an amazing thing.
Yeah.
And before these Wolf River Lagoon trips we have, for about 20 minutes, I'll walk the kids through this area and talk about, the history from 12,000 years till now within 20 minutes. Then we get out in the canoes and to see, all these kids paddling together and racing out to the bridge. But then on our, the big corporate retreats, we'll have the big full day stuff and,
The river walk is great because they get a big view of what it's like. And I'm glad to see somebody still use it. I was talking to somebody today that's over there and said, nothing's going on over here.
Well, there is stuff happening now. That's with his canoes. Yes, sir. And so we need more stuff to happen. People need to remember how cool that place is. But I think there's more of an interest in the Mississippi River more than there has been. And Memphis is I moved here from Colorado 4 years ago, and people are like, why the heck did you move to Memphis from Colorado? I'm like, well, hey, there's no other city with as much river wilderness, but there's no other city that still maintains its authenticity as more so than the other cities. And it's right on the river. And like you said about all that, everything goes towards the river on these islands. Mm-hmm. Same with us, man. This city, we're all kind of head towards the river, so.
Well, and one thing I was kind of disappointed in the new Tom Lee Park is they blocked the view so much of the river. You used to have all the way up down Riverside Drive. Then they built the moguls and planted trees. You can still see it in different places, but that was one of the best views of the river.
Even more of a reason to come down to Mud Island.
Yeah, because you still have the view.
Oh yeah, and no one ever goes there. I don't want to give away my secret. I spend most of my sunsets there if I'm not on the river because you're on the river and no one's there.
Yeah. And I grew up in West Texas. There were no trees, so we always had great sunsets. But if you're inside Memphis, the trees are so tall, you can't get back far enough to be able to see the sun as it gets really low, and that's where all the color is.
Yeah, Mud Island is more so Sunset Island in my book,
Yeah. In fact, the restaurant, the river, it used to be called River Terrace, and now it's Mahogany.
Mahogany. They just opened up.
And that's the best view of the Mississippi River because it literally wraps in front of you and then heads downstream. And if you're sitting there, it's like you're in the river.
You're right there. And when the river's really high, maybe y'all could throw me a beer from as I paddle by.
Well, I'm sure it has been done. The one thing that people should understand, though, that in canoes like yours that are wider than a normal canoe, that canoes are a lot more tipsy-turvy.
Yes,
and
smaller ones, totally.
This is not something that if you're not experienced on the river is getting in a canoe without somebody that has
no experience necessary. And we step into these canoes on the boat ramps or off the marina dock, however we choose to go. And they're about 3 feet wide. You're sitting side by side paddling together. They hold 14 people, I kind of cap it out for about 12 people, 12 adults. But on our camping trips, about 6 or 7 per canoe with gear for 3 or 4 days. And so they're like I said, they're ocean-going canoes, and the heavier they are, the safer they are.
Stable.
You can stand up in them, and they don't move. So very safe.
Like the 3-day trip, would you leave Memphis at the marina, and then you end up where?
If we did that trip, that's kind of going into the Delta, our blues cruise kind of trip. So we have the Chickasaw Bluff run where we put in up at Osceola and end the trip back in Memphis. You see Memphis rise out of the distance, like out of the horizon, like the city on the Nile. But if we put in at Memphis, then we'll go down to a little north of Tunica, and that's another 3-day run. And same thing, just camping on big islands. But from there, we get picked up with the trucks and brought back up to Memphis.
Well, and better than walking back to.
Oh yeah. Or maybe get picked up and drop on down, stay in the shack up in Clarksdale, and go out in Clarksdale, and cruise back up 61.
Which is a pretty
That's
cool.
Where a lot of us met. Yeah.
Which is a pretty cool place. did a piece on them once. We used to do the thing called Highway 5 when I was at Channel 5, and we spent the night there, and they explained how it worked. They said the people from Europe come. They don't want to use the air conditioning because they want to feel the heat. And they sit outside on the front porch of these, what used to be what's called shotgun houses or sharecropper houses. They have air conditioning and all the modern conveniences. These people always sit outside, drink long neck beer, and get eaten up by mosquitoes. They think it's just great.
It's wonderful. I'm staying there tomorrow night.
Well, tell them hi for us.
I will.
So if people want to hook up with you, how do they get involved?
Just give me a call. Look us up on the internet, Canoe the Miss, or Google up Mississippi River Expeditions. Main thing, social media, Instagram. There's a lot of stuff we post on there, and most trips are privately chartered, but we're going to be announcing a lot of community trips, a lot of open sign-up trips.
And do you go pretty much year-round, or do you stop?
Year-round. It kind of slows down July, a little hot. But now it's a great time to go now. January is it's year-round.
Because there's some really nice days in January.
Yes, sir. And talking about the whitewater stuff, I still am able to go out to Colorado in the summer where I used to river guide, because the on-seasons on whitewater rivers is during the summer, and the really on-season on the Mississippi River is fall and spring, so...
We've been on the Snake River, and it's very similar to the Mississippi River because you're not in deep canyons. It's a wide river, not as wide as the Mississippi.
It's scenic.
Very scenic. You can see the Rockies and the Tetons over in the distance.
And that's one thing about being out on the river and paddling into Memphis, to see Memphis from a new point of view, and to see Memphis as a small city, like rising out of the river with a silver pyramid. Nothing against Bass Pro, but you don't see the Bass Pro sign when you're out on the river. It's the silver thing glowing. But you see, it does have this very Egyptian feel.
Yeah.
And the willow trees on the island, the sandbars, just remember that it's more of a sandy river. But give me a call and look us up on Instagram. We kind of see what it's like, and you'll see how people feel safe out there. And all my guides are all, highly trained whitewater river guides. It's amazing the river guide world of people that are now civil engineers in Memphis or so, and they, help me guide on the weekends after river guide in Oregon for many years.
Because they like to have fun too.
Yeah, there's
fun for everybody.
There's a big outdoor community in Memphis, and there's no other city with as much river wilderness than Memphis.
Well, I loved your pictures, and I think anybody that goes out with you is going to come back a changed person and have a much better understanding of what a treasure the Mississippi River is.
Yes, sir. Especially having this wildlife refuge above us. And in Shelby Forest State Park, there's not that much public land on the Mississippi River, but Memphis sits, below some. And so being out there on the sandbars and out on the river mainly is where we spend our time, out on that water.
Yeah, get out and enjoy it. Matthew Burdine.
That's it.
Thank you, sir.
Glad to be here.
We're going to come out and maybe we'll do a Zoom with you one day.
Come on out on the river.
And I'd love to get out on the river, but I think just showing people that are watching right now what it's really like being out there.
Yeah.
And it's just like a Zoom call from a canoe on the Mississippi.
I've never Zoomed before, but bring that wonderment like you were talking about, and we'll go on the river.
Absolutely. Thank you, Matthew.
Oh, glad to be here.
Up next, we got Jimmy Ogle coming up to join us. And that's our studio audience. They came to see Matthew, but they also came to see Jimmy Ogle. And come on up and take a seat, Jimmy. And Jimmy Ogle has been somebody that I've known for almost 50 years. And when I first met him, we built a floating restaurant together, by the way, the Sunset Cafe. In fact, I've got, let me find that. There it is. There's a picture of Jimmy and I several years ago. He found the old life ring from the Sunset Cafe, and he brought that to me. In fact, I put that in a promo at the first of the week saying you were coming, and Sherry, her husband actually painted that, Milton, and it did a great job. The whole concept was a great idea. It was a screened-in Jimmy Buffett-style place with a tin roof and an open patio with umbrellas on the one end of it. Like it was a 50-foot barge?
Yeah, it was the barge that the U.S. Alabama used to be there at Mud Island. Henry Ellis owned the barge. We got it from Henry Ellis. And it docked up to it. So,
well, then later on, the Sequoia pulled up to it. That's why the Pat Tyrant wanted us to get it ready so they could pull up and dock there with the Sequoia. Then the river got down so low, the Sequoia...
It was 1988. We had the all-time low.
Couldn't leave. The Sequoia was trapped here like a rat. And... after that, Bob said, why don't we just make a nightclub out of it? And Sunset Cafe, I remember some of the menu items. We had a cat in a sack, which is catfish, and French fries and hush puppies. And But it was not air conditioned, and it had no heat except for a pot-bellied stove. And I remember Carol Ricasa, and she would call me, "Can't we close? There's nobody down here." And I said, "Thema says we never close until closing time."
Well, another factor about that, the river fluctuates 40 feet here.
Yeah.
Normally during the year, and that's a 6-to-1 slope. So it could be a 200-yard walk down those old cobblestones. And you had to hose off the mud so people wouldn't track the mud onto them. Every time it was except going down, the siltation would build up,
And you didn't move the barge by yourself. You had to get a tow to push it up and pull it back down.
And then tie it off.
The first time Theme had called me, it was New Year's Eve, and it was sleeting, and wind was blowing, and he said, "The Sunset Cafe's sinking. Get down here and help me." I said, "Bob, what do you want me to do?" I said, "We need a barge," because they hadn't gone up or down significantly. Yeah. And so because you had those 4-foot stakes that went into the ground to hold the gangplank on. But you and I actually painted the entire barge before they brought it down.
Dry dock, right?
Yeah, and it was hot down there. But that's when we first got to know each other. And then
and we're still friends?
Yes. Well, it's because we got dirt on each other. But not much. But the thing is that you've experienced so many things, and we talk about river tours. You've been doing river tours.
Boy,
street
Matthew,
tours.
what a delight. We just met, and I'm going to get with him a little bit.
Because I kept thinking the history you could teach from the river.
Well, I just want to help him get familiarized with this lay of the land. A couple years ago, we had a new captain of the port for the Coast Guard here. My sister played golf with her. And she's from Los Angeles. I said, "Can you give her an orientation? Or might get my little brother to do that, And that's
he's oriented.
Yeah, I said I can do that. I have the PowerPoint and all that about the river and show them around, not to do their river work, but to show them why Memphis is here and how it. And everything he said was right on. Yeah. Every single thing he said. Good endorsement.
Well, the thing about it is, everything about the Mississippi is still true from the day that Hernando de Soto stumbled upon it. The thousands of years before that, it just really changes some, but for the most part, it's the same river.
Yeah, and when we're halfway, we're on the highest piece of ground on the Mississippi River between Cairo and New Orleans, and we're halfway between the Great Lakes and the Gulf of Mexico, and you see how that in the 150, 200 years ago, that was our our Pacific coast at the time, because we're the western end of the country.
Yeah.
And then the westward expansion, we built a bridge that came through here and became it's the expressway of our river, of our country now, for river-wise, let's say, with all the barge operations that come down and how many times they've changed the channel and everything. And
we talked a little bit about it, because you said the Indians had these big dugout canoes they used, but when Hernando de Soto came through here, did they have to make their own dugout canoes, or did they build
Well, he didn't run
rafts?
that by me. I don't remember that one.
Well, the reason I ask is because floating barges, what they do is they'd enter, and you just go downriver and slowly cross the river. So you just go straight across the river. No. Well, nobody going upriver until they started.
That's why they have the Natchez Trace.
That's exactly why you floated down and walked back.
Until Shreve of Shreveport got an engine that could make it go water filter and come downriver, but nobody could get back up. Took a while.
But as Matthew was saying, Memphis has such a rich history.
Oh, gosh.
And really,
we're only here because of the river and the high bluff, the fourth bluff, period.
But it's there's still so many buildings here. In fact, they just opened up the Pontotoc Hotel again after
I just live across the street from there.
I remember that. It's so I think that's what is so great about. I think that's what struck your interest, is there is so much rich history in Memphis, and thank God for you for recording much of it.
Yeah.
Because you have to have somebody that sits there and puts all this down, or it goes away.
Well, I kind of lived my profession. I was with the Park Commission, learned all the parks and community centers, learned the city that way. Went down to Mud Island in '85, 8 years there at Mud Island with the museum. And then the 5 years at the Memphis Riverboats with Captain Jake.
Yeah.
You don't think I didn't learn some river from Captain Jake and how to get a Christmas tree from Arkansas?
I learned a lot from Captain Jake, too.
At the bar.
Yeah.
And then, on Beale Street, then Rock and Soul, then back at Beale Street Landing I used to lecture on the American Queen up and down from Vicksburg to St. Louis, and learn it all by living it and meeting the people and remembering it. And it draws you into it.
It does.
And that's the whole city. That's not just the river.
But does it amaze you? There's so many people that live out east that don't come downtown, don't come down and take advantage of. I mean, just coming down to the Mud Island side and parking your car, you're right there on the river, and it's just flowing by. And It is. It's majestic. It really is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 300,000 gallons of water a minute
Yeah.
at about 8 miles an hour, and every gallon of water has a teaspoon of mud. That's why this all is laid out to be so flat.
Yeah.
There's no buildings on the other side of our riverfront. There's no East St. Louis.
No.
Or like New Orleans.
'Cause
You
there's
got
no
a
bank over there.
natural on one side and urban on this other side, and go underneath the bridges. It's a great local 8-mile cruise. And the Memphis Riverboats now, former Memphis Queen Line, is the only locally oriented passenger vessel company between New Orleans and St. Louis. That's
Wow.
1,300 miles of river. If you're coming from Europe to go to Graceland, you want to do a cruise, you got to do it here.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so valuable down there.
Yeah.
Because Baton Rouge doesn't have one, or Vicksburg doesn't have one, you see, anymore. I mean, it's
Yeah.
New Orleans. That's a lot of river territory for William to cover down there.
Now there's still the American Queen Line that's coming
All
through.
the overnight passenger, the 8, 7,
But if you
there's
just wanna take a
6 or
little-
7 companies doing that now.
a
We
dinner
rebirthed
cruise.
that in 2011.
Yeah. And until
American-
Matthew came along, the Mississippi Queen was it, or the which one is
Well,
it?
it's American Queen.
American Queen.
American, but Mississippi Queen's scrap, Delta Queen's scrap. That was the old companies
Okay.
there. And then American Cruise Lines, Vikings making pitches coming in,
Yep.
and they've all expanded. So river cruising has been reborn simply because our leadership in Memphis with the politicians at that time in 2011, 2012, got them to, we built Bill Street Landing and got them to do the docks here and the land here, and that helped it happen too. I don't think the Bill Street Landing is being used anymore, but they're still docking up and they're
Which
improving the area up there.
I still don't know why. Nobody says why they're not using Beale Street Landing.
Well, we're not going to talk about that here.
Okay. I still don't know why they're not using it.
Yeah, well, I'm not a politician and I'm not an activist. I'm just an observer and recorder, and that's how I'm going to tell you about
I'm
it.
going to write that down. I'm going to ask somebody else. Okay.
yeah.
Here's a picture of you and me with Tim McCarver's tie.
What'd you do with that?
I still have it because
You were supposed to give it to him.
and then he passed away because he was so busy.
No, he passed away a year later.
But he came to town to be entered in the Sports Hall of Fame, correct?
Yes,
and he
sir.
was so busy he could not
No.
come.
How could he be so busy not to get with Earle Farrell?
Well, that's what I said. But apparently he found a way to do it. So I said, that's okay. Next year you can come back because I'd love to have you on the show and we talk about it because his time was up there with Fred Smith and John Tigrid.
John Tigrid had a scarf.
That was Elvis.
But John Tigrid had the suit. Remember Sleep Out Louie's suit?
Yeah.
And Pat Halloran had a tie.
Yeah.
And I took his back to him. And they said, y'all still got my name misspelled on the thing. I said, Pat, I'm just delivering you a tie. The great Pat Halloran.
Don't beat me up.
Thank you, Earl. But, Tim lived in Sarasota, I think, his latter years. And Sid Selvage, who hung out at Front Street Deli a lot with Lee Busby, used to tell me, he went down and recorded him some sessions of him singing. I think we need to get the lost episodes of Sid Selvage and Tim McCarver
I would love
for
that.
Memphis Prosperity. And you can give the tie and dedicate the tie to Memphis Music Hall of Fame for that.
Well, I've also got Pepper Rogers' tie.
All right. He was a great one. He was great in Memphis with the showboats, wasn't he?
Well, he was just a great person.
Yeah, period.
He fit right into Memphis, Tennessee. The minute he got here, everybody just went, we like Pepper.
Yeah. He knew how to work it.
Tell us why you came back this weekend.
I'm here. I was I was invited to speak by Judge Jenny Latta, who's with the bankruptcy courts here and plays golf with my sister too. That's more important because my sister says I'll help somebody with something, I got to do it. So I'll give my sister
what you do for your
credit.
sister, yeah.
And she had and I've done this with a couple other things here too. I've come back, but I don't talk much anymore, believe it or not. Or I talk to myself a lot.
Does anybody believe that? Anybody?
Hey, come on. No, and she wanted to do a presentation, a plenary session. Because they're talking real law up here. This is a judiciary conference of 300 judges from the U.S. Sixth Circuit Court, something like that.
Of appeals.
Yeah, appeals, okay. And we're going to do a program, a 75-minute program called Memphis Bankruptcy's Greatest Hits and a Comeback City. and you think about biggest hits, you think about songs, but these are some incredible stories of success, then bankruptcy or failure or auction, and then comeback. And our ones we picked, and I didn't know we were going to be in the Peabody Hotel. I didn't know we were going to be in the Peabody Hotel this week on this 100th anniversary in this location. And Doug Brown's getting a brass note tomorrow. I mean, not a brass note, a duck feet. And this conference is here this week. And it's, the first Peabody Hotel was built in 1869 somewhere else. So this one opened 1925, September 1. And here we are commemorating, and this group is here. And that's our first story of how it started. Auction on the courthouse steps for $550,000 in '75. Look at this building we're in now. What a great comeback story it is.
Well, I can promise you, the Bells spent more than $500,000.
Well, they spent about $25 million. And it's a lot since. They just got through redoing all the rooms here, by the way.
They're in the middle of that. It's another $25 million.
Several times over. But look, and then our other one's going to be Yellow Fever when the city lost its charter and to come back from it. Piggly Wiggly and Clarence Saunders, Stax, Isaac Hayes, and then the Pyramid Story. And Sidney Lincoln, I got this picture of me carrying the pyramid model over to the bankruptcy court for Judge Donald, who is here, who, when I was registering, she registered right behind me. And I said, I got your picture on one of our programs here. So we're going to do that as a plenary session. I don't know how to define that. And we're going to tag team it. Judge Latta's going to do the bankruptcy terms and portions. I'll just do my little stories.
Is there a reason that Memphis is such a bankrupt? Part of the thing about Memphis is it's such an entrepreneur city.
Yeah. I can't explain that. A lot of things happen because this has been a melting pot for a long time. You know, when we went down in Yellow Fever, we got to 10,000 people in 1880. But by 1900, we had 100,000 people, and only 10% of them lived in Memphis.
Wow.
Because all the wave that came through in the westward expansion, the bridge opened, the Memphis and Charleston Railway, and they're going across this country. And this was a halfway point across the country, north, south, east, and west, you see.
Well, the thing...
And so it's just been a place of a melting pot of a lot of things, and still is, you know.
I like the fact that so many people went bankrupt, but then they came back.
Yeah, that's what this, and we were going to do Jerry Lewis, but we ran out of time, you know.
I remember...
There's plenty of stories, but these are the highlights.
What put Jerry Lee in debt was his taxes. He didn't pay his taxes.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember the IRS came, took everything out of his home. I went to a warehouse, and they had the kids' drawers, the Chester drawers, their beds, their clothes. I went, this is just horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, he got some of his stuff back, so good for him.
I remember driving down. He lived in Nesbit, right?
Yeah.
The gates were there. They weren't open. I just went to drive to see where he lived one time about 5 years ago, just for the heck of it.
Yep. Was he there?
I didn't know. I was outside on the road, just took a picture and left. I just had to do it once in my life to say I did it, you know.
Well, he had one of his motorcycles. It was at Super Cycle there on Bellevue.
Okay, yeah.
It was the Ron and Lou. They had the cycle shop, and they built Elvis Presley's trike bike.
Yeah.
And J.W. Whitten comes to him and said, Jerry's back, and he wants to get his motorcycle rebuilt. They had it kind of hit out from the IRS. We can say this now because he's dead.
Yeah.
But so they said, okay, but we'll restore it, but it's going to be, and he gave him a price. He said, okay, and he said, and we're going to need it in cash before we hand it over to him.
Wow.
Which they did. And Jerry Lee asked him, he said, what about those long leather straps you had hanging off the handlebars? He said, don't you remember, Jerry Lee, they beat you to death, and you said, take them off, and we did. He said, well, I guess I don't want them back, do you? He said, not unless you want to get beat to death with them again.
Well, you know, Jerry Schilling, J.W. Whitten, Greg Erickson, all managed him. I know people that have managed him and told all sorts of stories about how cantankerous he was, and they had great ideas to make money, like put your name on some slot machines in casinos. You know, you got to sit back and just collect the money out of the mailbox.
Yep.
Wouldn't do it. Just was so irrational about what he would do or wouldn't do. But once he got on that stage and hit that first piano key,
nobody liked him.
He was a teenager again. He was electrified, you know.
In fact, I saw him later in life where he could barely walk onto the stage. He would sit down, and those hands would come down, bum, 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 and he was off. And he was 21 again.
You did a good rendition of that.
The dun, 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 dun. That's all I know. But the history here really is amazing, and it's sitting here in Lansky's and at the Peabody Hotel.
Got this shirt from Hal.
That's the doors to the dining room at Graceland.
And Leighanne says she had her Christmas picture made between those peacocks there. She was on it. Isn't that a small world?
Well, it is. And then you were the duck master here at the Peabody
for a while, yeah.
And so you have a long history here. You and I were just down the street at the Sleep Out Louie's for many years.
Yeah.
In fact, when we were there, the Peabody had reopened because I remember coming to the concierge and said, "Here's some free dinners at Sleep Out. Send some folks to us." And they always did.
They sent themselves, didn't
they?
Yeah,
and they came too. They were not alone. And then Automatic Slims is across the street, still is.
Yeah.
But downtown has really changed a lot over the years. In fact, people who haven't been down here wouldn't recognize a lot of it.
From in the real quick 30-second story from the 1950s, urban renewal, 15 acres, 1,100, 15 projects, 1,100 acres. 3,200 buildings were torn down. It's called urban removal in other terms. And that's the vast area you see out there. They finally built FedEx Forum in some of these places.
Well, and this now, right along Union, is cleared.
Yeah, and then 77 to 83, Beale Street was fenced off. Peabody was closed. In 79, more people lived in jail in downtown Memphis than living residentially, and that's where we were. And the Peabody had been bought at auction. It reopened in 81. That was the catalyst that kicked everything off. Mud Island 82, Beale Street 83, Orpheum 84. Orpheum was offered to the city for $100,000. They didn't want it because of the expense. Yeah. And they formed Memphis Development Foundation. That's when Pat Halloran was hired. That's a pretty good hire there, I would say. $285,000. And then DeArmond Bailey told me in 84, he got the Lorraine Motel for $144,000. Yeah. It took 9 years to open up or whatever. But in less than 7 year time right there, when Peabody was happening and this stuff, we spent $1 million and saved the Peabody, the Orpheum, and the Lorraine Motel. And look what they are now. They're the three cultural cornerstones of downtown Memphis. 17 museums downtown now, and about 25,000 people living out. It's getting more residential. And you look at the warehouse space in South Main and out towards the edge and down Madison, out to Overton Square and stuff. A lot of things are built there. And, of course, Mud Island's got 7,000 people because you built that bridge in 1987 and make easy access.
And they're getting ready to build another bridge.
To the Kings Bridge?
Yep.
I got called by a local TV station the other day to get my take on them from Memphis. And, we have the three kings of Memphis. Elvis the King gave us our voice, B.B. King gave us our soul, and Dr. Martin Luther King gave us our conscience. And that's our three kings. We got an intersection of king and king down here, too. Well, Martin Luther King and B.B. King. What city has an intersection of king and king? Memphis.
Don't. And you got Jerry Lawler, the king.
Well, and King Cotton, too.
And King
I was going to bring up Jerry Lawler. We're not going to, we got to bring up Jerry. And there's Jerry Lawler's coat. He wore to the Memphis the Memphis Sports Hall of Fame when he got inducted. He's wearing that Elvis coat right there.
Well, everything has a tie to Lansky's in Memphis, Tennessee.
My daddy delivered Hal Lansky at St. Joseph Hospital.
And what is...
and Hal goes, and when I come and bring tours in here, Hal would come back limping from behind the counter. Yeah, his daddy delivered me. And I put on a face like, well, he picked you up and slapped you on your butt, and you've been whining ever since. And they thought we were getting ready to get in a fight, the tourists did. And I let Hal take over for 10 or 15. Take my tour, Hal, because Hal is the greatest ambassador ever.
Yes, he is.
And in downtown.
And his dad was, and Julie, now Hal's daughter.
Oh, yeah. I mean, but Hal. Yeah. And in 2011, we did the historical marker over here at Lansky Brothers at Beale and Second, and that's when we found out Miss Lansky goes, that Dr. Ogle's son? She's the one that told us. We've known each other 30 years and didn't
Never
know that.
mentioned it.
But it's a small world. And I like my peacock shirt.
You've been now in Knoxville where your
6
kids
years.
are 6 years. And what is the biggest difference between Knoxville and Memphis?
Well, when a group from UT Architectural School came to study downtown Memphis, they asked me to come be here and give a little history talk. I said, I'm not going to drive there. I'll just come to your class. You're 8 minutes away from me there. And did a talk saying, when you go to Memphis, you're not in Tennessee. Memphis is more like St. Louis and New Orleans. This delta is in Tennessee. Tennessee's totally different. East End, not like Nashville.
In fact, once you cross the Tennessee River, it changes.
Yeah, and in the plateau and everything. And then I've been there 6 years. I haven't turned the air conditioner on yet. And I live in the middle of Knoxville. It's the thin air. It's
you're
not
always
that
wearing
high.
pretty tight.
No, but I got the ceiling fan. But the thin. I was out here in this thick air. So the climate's really going to affect you, folks.
Yep.
And that's the main thing there. Since I've been gone, I've been in all 95 counties, taken over 50,000 pictures, seen every TVA dam, every Sea Rock City barn, went to the Scopes trial stuff. Tennessee's my playground, but I'm not doing any talk. I'm just absorbing and having fun doing that, being a tourist,
But I know you're gonna file this all away, and at some point somebody's going to ask you, well, I do have some material.
Well, yeah, on that. But I've come back to do and that's why I'm here for this bankruptcy thing. I did something for the Ellis Auditorium, 100 Years of Entertainment at 255 North Main between Ellis and Cannon Center last year. What a great history that building has.
See, somebody's calling you to get you to come talk to him now.
Even the very fact Sputnik Monroe, who's getting ready to be inducted into the Memphis Sports Hall of Fame, the great wrestler, that's what helped desegregate our audiences here in Memphis. The wrestling there at Ellis
Everybody loved wrestling.
And that's why the Coliseum was built with desegregation in mind. Same entry, same access, same seating, same concession.
Well, there's another historical thing at the Orpheum. They had the outside fire escape, which goes up to the third level.
Yeah.
That was for You know,
Yeah.
everybody but the white people.
Yeah, on the Beale Street side.
And they, fortunately...
well, the bus stations down here had the white and colored restrooms, you know, the fair.
When I went to Dyer's Hamburgers the first time when I moved here to Memphis over in Cleveland, there was a white interest and a colored interest, and I said, "You got to be kidding me!"
No.
They said, "No."
Con Aaron was his name.
Yeah.
You know, and Mark's out there at Kaiva now.
Yeah.
But guess what was on the other side? On that side, there weren't no on the. You know, you sat on a stool there at the bar and swiveled around stools. They didn't have any seat pads on it. They were just the poles.
Oh, you're kidding!
You couldn't see sit down.
No, I never.
Not that he didn't want the folks. I mean, he was throwing those sloppy in the grease and eat some burgers, you know. And then they had a sheriff's escort across the street. Remember
when they
Lamb's Eat Shot and Curb Market out there and all that, you know.
I was there when they moved it, man.
It was breaking news for you, right?
This grease is not dead. Let me tell you that.
Film at 11.
But the personalities of the communities are totally different. Nashville's totally different from Knoxville.
Totally.
Knoxville's totally different from Memphis or Chattanooga.
Mm-hmm. In 1982, I coordinated a football toss from Memphis and Knoxville with John Malmo and all that guy, the great John Malmo, and to the World's Fair. Memphis trying to get in the NFL. And the Steelers and Patriots were playing the exhibition game then. So 9 different cities. It was Ridgeway High School, then Brownsville, Huntington, Waverly, Nashville, Lebanon, Cookville, Crossville, and Fulton High School all the way in. 50 miles a day, 5 miles an hour, throwing the ball back and forth, getting them back. And Malmo came and ran. We got to and so we went right down in 1982, went right down the middle of Broadway Street, and they just built the Batman building. It was like the most iconic building ever built in Nashville. Now you can't even find it.
Yeah, it's lost.
I mean, the whole deal is just gone. It's just nuts, you know.
I remember during the bicentennial for Tennessee, and they had a train that started up in the Tri-Cities area above Knoxville, and the governor was on there, Lamar Alexander. They picked up Tennessee Ernie Ford, and then we went to Knoxville, Chattanooga, Nashville, and came to Memphis. And just traveling by train, as we entered around Bartlett, and as we came through, I'd seen Memphis like I'd never seen it before.
On the train tracks.
You're on the train tracks.
Yeah. But think about it, our road system was developed by animals centuries ago that Native Americans followed, that European explorers followed, that American settlers followed, and then we paid poplar, and then we rode around. It's all the high dry trails. Our road system is designed because little animals centuries ago wanted to keep their feet dry. And there's a thing called the confused.
Works.
There's a thing called the confused study too. If I get what it means, I'll bring it to you next time about our road systems here. But that's lie.
But it is laid out at least in east, west, north, south. You go to Nashville.
No, it's not.
Well, it's
you can't drive from Whitehaven to Fraser on the same street straight.
It goes north and south.
Yeah, you got to go on other streets. Poplar goes east-west, from Riverfront down to Kaiva.
And Poplar does go from the river to
but north-south
Fayette County.
That's one problem of our bus system here, too. You know, you can't get good connections in the neighborhood.
Somebody would take a road for a while, and they go, I'm tired of this route. The next big thing you're going to do publicly here is what? Do you know yet?
Well, I'm actually not public. I'm doing teach some classes for the Memphis Bar Association and continuing legal education for them, some topics. I'm doing a thing with my old church, First Baptist Church. We're doing a civil rights pilgrimage, and we're doing some things that are leaving. I'm sorry, I keep on hitting this microphone here. That we're doing some things to lead up to a pilgrimage in February, and I've been working with them on that, and getting people like Mary Mitchell to come talk to us in the speaker series, or Mark Stansbury. Mark's been on the radio 63 years now on WDIA and the Gospel Show on Sunday afternoon. Still going and blowing, you know. Gosh, I'm not sure what's. I'm doing this bankruptcy thing this week. This is going to be a real exciting story for me to do, and I'll just wait and see. I got to pick and choose what to do because it's an 800-mile round trip, you know. And I got to come down to see my family some too, my sister and 2 brothers and stuff, and a few other folks like Earle or Hal or.
Well, everybody
Peanut
loves seeing you because you've been a big part of
Memphis. I tell you what, I know what I'm going to do is we're writing a grant right now to go to the Tennessee State Historical Commission so we can do some lectures out in the rural areas of Shelby County between Meme and Shelby Forest State Park and Kyville. We have a nonprofit group that meets by Zoom, and we're putting up graphic text markers out there. Rosemark, Kerrville, Mudville, Big Creek, Lucy, Woodstock, Bolton, Brunswick. You wouldn't believe some of the things. That's the Woodstock of the song Soul Man, not the Festival. That's where Lindbergh landed and ate dinner here on October the 3rd, 1927, when he was doing his promotional tour around, and just all sorts of great stories like that all through. Stax started out there in Brunswick as satellite records and moved downtown. Just things like that.
Yeah.
The Millington Naval Air Station, some other influences, the Chickasaw Army, but it's a great history we're getting to do. I still do a twice-a-year inventory of Summer Avenue between East Parkway and Wolf River for the Merchants Association. Helped Paula Casey with the National Vote for Women's Trail. When we did the I.B. Wells things here, the statue and everything, Dr. Gray asked me to come in and help him escort Michelle Duster around, the great-granddaughter of Ida B. Wells. And she got a call from the White House in my car saying, be at the White House in 3 days because we're going to sign the Emmett Till anti-lynching law. She had to leave her bags with me and get to home, get her brothers, and get there. So I'm like a Forrest Gump. Things happen to me.
Just around.
Like they find me. And when, in fact, the day they unveiled the sign up there on Beale Street, it got stuck. So me and Al James went and got a ladder. And no 20-year-old would go up there and climb up that ladder to get it unstuck. So I did. I was in my quilt jacket, my Sam Phillips cap. I was here on the QT. And it got stuck again. So the folks were going to throw it off, and I threw it off like this, and the picture on the front page of the paper next day was me in that quilt coat, looking like I was flying with Ida B. Wells there in the sky. I can't hide anywhere, but I'm glad to come down and talk to you.
Well,
to be in this place and doing what you're doing after you let me, golly, this thing is going to kill me. No, it's my fault. It's like, I talk with my hands. But after you let me come in and be with you for those 10 years at KWAM, I saw George Bryant the other day working in the pro shop at Ogle Park Junior Open, and I did the research for all of that. I'm their archivist now for the Ogle Park Junior Open, all the past winners back to 1947.
It's the oldest golf tournament in Memphis.
1947.
Yeah.
And we got all but one set of names. We got 2013. We can't find the boys and girls' names.
Oh, gosh.
But that's because commercial appeal, whoever scanned the early edition rather than the final edition. So I'll find that somehow. We've got to get the word out on that. But just doing things like that for the community, and, making this renovation to football stadium. We want to get that big flag back up on the top.
And they will bring that back, correct?
Yeah, they said they are. And I ran into the general services man when they're taking the Hebe fountain off the court square. I was April 22nd. I was walking through here and talked to the law school for Dean Strickland now.
Yeah.
And they were they just happened to be taking that Birmingham Ironworks. I said, "What are y'all doing?"
It's back now.
Good. It was supposed to be a 3-month restoration, so April to August. Here we go.
They're back.
But I just got to witness that for some reason. I used to start a lot of tours from right there. In fact, I'm starting a courthouse walk tour for the Memphis Bar Association. All the 3 courthouses in October there.
Well, you're not letting any moss gather on your...
No, my grandson plays travel baseball, and my little brother and I like a little history. We go to the Scopes. We did the Scopes trial stuff this year down there. That was really cool, the 100th anniversary. Yeah. And Ed Larson, who wrote Summer for the Gods, when the 1998 Pulitzer, was a speaker there on Friday night and Saturday. We just globbed it up. And somebody asked him, well, why do you do this? And I finally found the right answer for why I do what I do. He says, I wanted to do something nobody had done before, and then I'll be better than nobody. And everybody, you're trying to get some real scholarly answer out of it. That's like Groucho Marx telling you something. That was the coolest answer ever at the Scopes trial. I thought.
Well, it sounded. Who was the baseball guy that was always saying stuff like that? Not
Yogi Berra.
Yogi Berra. Nobody comes to it anymore.
Yeah,
it's too crowded.
Yeah, that was his best one. You get to the fork in the road, take it was another one.
Jimmy Ogle, thank you.
That's it. I wish I could. I'm going to come back and interview Matthew.
We would have brought our lunch.
Yeah, we got to do a marathon one of these things. Tell Hal he needs to take these clothes somewhere else. We want this spot. I'm glad you got that worked out with the Peabody. Kelly and Doug and everybody here. I got such a warm greeting here, and you're here. It's just amazing this happened.
Yeah.
But they want to do right by this town. They know what their reputation is.
You got to keep telling the story, which is what I tell about you, is that you got to keep teaching people the history because there's new people come along all the time that don't know.
And the funny stat about Doug Brown, who's getting his duck feet tomorrow.
Yeah.
When they filmed The Firm, he was at Grand Bahamas.
When they
filmed down there.
Wow.
The Firm did. They come into here to Memphis and there's Tom Cruise on the roof,
Yeah.
How coincidental is that? Doug's been here. That means Doug's been here since, what, 1993.
I mean, all the shooting.
And he's involved with sports and tourism. He's been in leadership roles outside the Peabody Hotel.
We made sure he was one of the first people we had on.
I bet you did.
And he was great. We're going to
And
have
you
him
need
back.
to interview Keenan out here. I tell you, if you haven't done him yet.
He's coming on.
He's charming, good.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
We're
Well,
trying to
he's
get
really
all the.
charming, I think.
We're just
so.
starting with you of the list of
you
duck
can go-
masters.
You're lifting off then, buddy. You can go higher.
Well, I don't think
I'm
so.
happy to be here. I'm happy to be anywhere.
Well, so am
In fact,
I.
I'm just happy. So we got to stay happy.
Yeah.
We're lucky guys.
Well, thank
the
you.
The things we've gotten to see over the years.
Oh, absolutely.
And talk about
And
it.
we're still doing it. So there you are. We'll have you back the next time you come into town.
Okay.
All right.
You promise?
I promise.
I'm looking at the scheduler over there.
Yeah. All right.
And we got to do something about this thing.
No, we're just going to back it away from you next time. We're gonna.
You need that?
We're gonna gaffer tape your hands together. Is what we'll do.
I'll be just doing that, you know.
All right.
But I'm very fortunate to be in East Tennessee. My daddy was from there. My mother was that area. My son's been there for a long time, and the family's accepted me up there. And I get to see. They were 10 and 6 when I got there. Now they're 17 and 13, and she's driving herself to school. And I get to see a lot of activities. It's really good to see all that happening.
And it happens in a hurry. Well, we got to get out of here. Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you.
That is our show for today. You'll be able to watch this again right here on Facebook for about 30 days. And we also put it up on YouTube and Spotify, so you can check it out there as well. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.